meeting of the Audit and Internal Controls Committee of the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority. It's 6:14 on March 22nd, 2022. We have a brief agenda for the Audit Committee. For the record, and for those who watch this on replay, the entire Audit Committee membership is here, which is myself, Mr. Barsky, Mr. Mahy, and Mr. Petracca, as well as our three new board members. So the entirety of the board is present for the committee meeting and welcome to ask questions during the course of the committee meeting or in the full board meeting when we consider whatever actions we may take and pass on to the board from the committee. With that, and by the way, that may necessarily reduce the amount of questions they may or may not ask in the full board meeting if they've asked them during the committee. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was held on December 7th, 2021. Would one of the members like to move that we approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Petracca makes the motion. Mr. Barsky seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion is passed unanimously and the minutes are approved. The second item is to authorize an increase to RSM McGladrey's fees as independent auditors for the year based on transactions that needed to be audited that were not in the original scope we approved. Carl Dreyer, our treasurer, will walk us through that request. We'll consider that and take appropriate action. Carl.
Thank you and good evening. As you say, Chris, the refunding transaction that NIFA undertook on February 17th is beyond what is considered the assumption that unexpected circumstances will not be encountered during the engagement. They consider, because of some of the elements in the transaction, they consider this, which we're considering a special item. They're considering this to be outside the scope, and they would like a supplemental budget to be established, which they're currently estimating to be about 22 hours of staff and a cost of up to $5,000. This supplemental budget would be to consult with the GASB, to consult with other professionals within the staff that weren't originally budgeted in the annual engagement. So what we're asking for this evening is a supplemental budget for up to $5,000. As you know, as the money is expended, we'll keep track of it. And again, that's the original estimate. If they believe that it'll be more, they'll come back to us.
And for the record, we refunded $900 million of the county's debt and about $400 million of our own, a total of $1.3 billion at savings of about $100 million in present value interest costs. And in the process, unwound a bunch of swaps and other derivative instruments that require this analysis. And so in my view, 22 hours seems reasonable. Certainly the hourly rate that gets you from 22 hours to $5,000 also appears reasonable. So I don't have any questions about the scope or the need for it. I would only observe that going forward, we will no longer have derivatives that require extra scrutiny or the use of specialists on our balance sheet in subsequent audits. And so we might expect that this is a special item that's a one-time, but it may actually reduce the level of effort in future audits.
That's correct, and I brought that point up with the engagement partner.
Got it. Any questions for Mr. Dreyer from any committee members?
Sure. Just to your point, Chris, what other costs will it save us going forward aside from just related to call to the audit? Wasn't there ongoing monitoring fees and other calculations that needed to be done to maintain the swaps?
PFM, right? The whole fee for assessing the value of the swap.
There's the PFM. There's also the evaluation, of PFM's report, which is brought to derivative experts within RSM. There's a couple of methods that they use and so forth. So that calculation doesn't have to be done. And there's going to be substantial savings. The PFM, there's also the letter of credit that has to be maintained, the interest on the letter of credit. So again, there's substantial savings.
They are multiples of $5,000, probably monthly. So
Definitely worth it.
okay. Anybody would like to move the requested approval?
Yeah, I'll move.
Made by Mo, second
Second.
by Mr. Barsky. Any discussion? Lester, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mo?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The audit committee approves it. We'll pass this to the full board. Any board members who are not on the audit committee have any questions to follow on, or you can certainly ask them in the full board meeting. Seeing none, the next discussion item is Carl, you'll walk us through the cash basis results, and these are NYFA's cash basis results, not the county's.
Right.
Clear.
This is NYFA's cash basis result. Very quickly, we had budgeted expenditures of $2,160,000. Actual expenditures were $1,790,000, for which $2 million was drawn. The reason why we've increased the draw over the expenditures is to mitigate service charges from the banks. So again, we came in $370,000 under budget.
We should see every component unit of the county do the same. Any questions or comments for Carl from either the committee members or the board members, other board members?
I'm good.
Okay, in that case, there's a motion to adjourn. Would somebody like to make that motion?
Move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye, and the committee is adjourned to the full board.
Okay, we'll now begin the full board meeting for the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority Directors Meeting, March 22nd, 2022. Before we begin, we'd like to welcome our new members who have joined our board, Sylvia Cabana, Dr. John Nassau, and Cheryl Ezrin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move into the agenda. First item is the approval of the minutes from the directors meeting on December 7th, 2021.
Move their approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. First item on the agenda is carryover from the audit committee, which there has been discussion on, which is the authorization increasing the RSM fees as independent financial auditors for the authority for taking related actions. Since this was already discussed, I would entertain a motion.
Chairman, at a meeting just concluded, we approved and bring to the full board a resolution for 22 hours, $5,000 in incremental costs for the audit to account for the unwinding and refunding transaction that occurred during 2021. I'll move that we approve that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next would be consideration of county contract for Almond Corporation. Martha.
Martha's going to present
Yes,
those.
yes, hi. I would like to ask the board for me to allow me to present the following contracts together, since they have the same scope and therefore the same amount. The Almond Corporation, ACOM USA, Jacobs Project, and Lero. So if it's okay with all of you, I would like to just do one presentation for the 4 items.
And just for clarification, Martha, is this because these are sort of on-call contracts?
Correct. Yes, they're all on-call contracts.
Utilized depending on the need, based on various rates and things of that nature?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So these vendors were actually selected through an open competitive bidding process. The county received 14 proposals, and after evaluating and ranking them, 6 vendors were awarded a contract. At the moment, we have 4 items that are presented to you tonight for approval. The term for each contract is 5 years with a 2-year renewal option. The funding amount to be approved for each contract is $17.5 million. Funding for the renewal option is not included in the amount to be approved. These vendors shall provide on-call services for DPW such as capital project management, pavement program management, grant application production management, task assignments for New York Metropolitan Transportation Council, vendor responsibility determination activities, and support contract management activities. Are there any questions?
No.
There are no questions. Entertain a motion to approve.
Move them as a
I'll move.
block. Okay, you got it. You got it, all right.
So that's a motion second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, then motion carries. Those 4 contracts are considered approved. Next item on the agenda is
Thank you.
the consideration of county contract for Tetra Tech.
Sure. Tetra Tech was selected through an RFP process. The county received 4 proposals and 3 vendors were awarded a contract. As of today, the NIFA Board of Directors has approved contracts for 2 out of the 3 vendors. Tetra is the last vendor of the 3 vendors that were originally approved. The term of the contract is 3 years from CE's signature with a 2 one-year renewal option. The contract is valued at $5 million, and the total amount to be approved includes funding for the renewal options. The vendor will assist Nassau County in managing disaster relief efforts involving debris removal in the event of a disaster within Nassau County. The contract will be funded out of the operating funds and has the possibility of a FEMA reimbursement. Are there any questions for this?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a consideration of county contract for Triad Group.
Sure. Triad Group. The vendor was selected through an RFP process. 9 vendors submitted proposals and 2 vendors were disqualified due to non-compliance. Contract was awarded to Triad Group because it was the lowest vendor. The vendor is a third-party administration company that will provide case management and for claims and claim administration for all worker compensation claims brought by any qualifies for workers' compensation benefits under New York state law. The term of the contract is 5 years and is valued at $5.1 million. Do you have any questions?
I move to approve.
There's a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank
Any
you.
opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the appointment of an officer of the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority. Jeremy, would you like to present this? You're on mute. Jeremy, you're on mute.
Jeremy, you're on mute.
As the new members will find, I'm rarely on mute, so you should
Yeah,
enjoy.
enjoy the silence, really.
Enjoy the
Yeah.
silence, exactly. What I was saying was, Connell, you may want to show yourself. Connell Denyon is a very experienced attorney who worked with NIFA during most of its tenure. And very fortunately for us, he's agreed to come and work with us as our new Deputy General Counsel. We've already offered Connell employment, and he's going to begin in the beginning of April. Just as an aside, Connell gets my 5-star review. We couldn't do better than Connell. If he were on Rotten Tomatoes, for those of you who are familiar with it, he'd get 100. In any event, what we're doing now is we're just making him an officer of the corporation so that if he has to sign certain documents or make certain representations on behalf of the authority, he will be considered what is called an authorized officer. So it's really a fairly ministerial function, but we'd like your approval.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't know that we've been able to reflect on Connell joining us since he did, but I think it's not often that you're able to hire an attorney from the outside who has conveniently been a part of every major financing transaction we've done in the last decade or more. And I think it's helpful that we're able to. Very rarely can you say that somebody starts, at 60 miles an hour. There's not even the 0 to 60 part. And I think it's great to have him aboard. I'm pleased to move that to make him an officer, but also to welcome him to the NIFA team.
Just make sure you don't run faster than me, Connell. 60 miles an hour is pretty fast for an old guy. All right.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you'd be in a vehicle, but I made the motion. So.
Yep, yeah, the full agreement on that, Chris and Jeremy. Welcome, Connell, and I think it helps round out the staff. Gives us lots of additional coverage for many of the projects we've been taking on, including not only with the county but also the hospital as well, and monitoring the financings that we've recently undertaken, and provides us adequate coverage in many different areas as well. So appreciate your willingness to come aboard and work with us. So valued asset. Thank you.
Welcome, Connell, and I'll second Chris's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I didn't mean to cut anybody off by that motion.
No.
I apologize.
If I may, Chairman, I just wanted to say thank you to you and the other directors and Jeremy and the staff, and I look forward to working with you all and the staff in the days and weeks to come.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I believe the motion is. Do we vote?
Yep. I think we
Okay.
voted.
I'll move to adjourn.
Yep. If there's no other new business to discuss that anybody wants to raise, I would entertain a second to that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Again, welcome, everybody.